Welcome back to the Remix Summer Series that I'm calling That Moment When. So life is loaded with moments when we can either do what is right or do what is wrong, right? Where we can either bring life or take life, where we can bring a smile or bring a frown, when we can lift someone up or tear them down, right? So this series is all about that moment when. Also, I want to note, I'm wearing a Yoko United shirt, and I really hope that all of you can come on September 17th to Yoko United at West York Middle School at 6:30 to 8:30, I believe. A really great night for prayer and worship together with Christians from across York County. Anyways, let's get back to that moment when. I've been telling a story about Summer, an imaginary girl with very real problems. And just to catch you up, she has an older brother named Winter and a younger sister named Spring, and her best friend's name is Autumn. She works as a cashier at BFG, which is a grocery store that stands for Big Flipping Groceries. Anyways, her favorite animal is a unicorn, and she likes to tell corny jokes. Her day started off kind of bad because she woke up late and missed her chance to get all of her responsibilities done before she got to work. She got to work on time, but she still has one more responsibility to finish in order to hang out with her friends after work. And her mom told her she has to finish her thank you cards. Anyways, in this part of Summer's story, she's just started her 30-minute lunch break. She's sitting in the break room with her new gel pens and her unicorn thank you cards, and she's on a roll. She thanks her uncle for the sweet hologram unicorn iPhone case, and then she thanks her grandpa for the tickets to the unicorn show, and then she's got only 4 cards left and 10 minutes left on her break, so this is perfect. She's doing awesome. But as she starts her thank you note to her friend who gave her the gel pens, which she comically notes, I'm using these gel pens to write thank you. Anyways, her friend Autumn comes in, and boy, is she flaming mad. Apparently their manager, Mr. Muffnapple, who's hard to get along with sometimes. Anyways, Mr. Muffnapple gave Jerry his break before Autumn, even though Autumn started 45 minutes before Jerry. So Autumn comes in and she just starts complaining about Mr. Muffnapple. She has all kinds of things to say about him and how unfair he is, and how he lets some of the workers get some time or more time off, and always lets the boys off easy, and always asks the girls to clean the bathrooms. And then she starts talking about how his hairstyle is so dumb and how his one eye is bigger than the other. And this is that moment when. Summer can jump right into the complaining and gossiping mess. It's like that moment in a song right before the beat drops. But we're going to hit timeout, and we're going to finish the story at the end of the video. And why don't we talk about what's happening here? Autumn is offended, right? She wanted to go on break. She wanted to hang out with Summer, and she's burning with anger at her boss. It's like she came in on fire. And actually, this reminds me of a proverb from the Old Testament. It's Proverbs 26, verse 20, and it says, "Without wood, a fire goes out. Without gossip, a quarrel dies down." Everybody loves a good fire in the fire pit or fireplace, but how do you keep a fire burning? You keep feeding it with fuel, right? You keep plopping the logs on it. And how do you make sure that the fire goes out? You stop feeding it with fuel. You keep the dry logs out of the fire. See, the writer of Proverbs knows that there is power in words. Seriously, if you've got issues, which we've all got issues, but if you particularly have issues with how you use words, and you want to be better with your words, and you want to be wise with your words, you should do the Proverbs challenge, where you read one chapter of Proverbs each day. So like if it's the 15th, you read the 15th chapter. If it's the 6th, then you read the 6th chapter, and so on and so forth. You will find that every chapter has something to say about what you say. Check it out. So in this passage, though, in Proverbs, we see that words can be like fuel to a fire. If there is anger, gossip only makes it worse. Now, the problem with gossip is that it goes in your ears. It's like ear candy, right? And then down into your heart so easy. Like just 2 verses later, the writer says this: the words of a gossip are like choice morsels. They're delicious. They're like maple donuts. And then they go down to a man's inmost parts. Oh, so hard to resist. Anyways, let's identify what gossip is exactly. I mean, I wish it was totally obvious, like a log coming out of your mouth. It would be really great if gossip was that obvious. Sometimes it's hard to describe, but you know it when it comes out of your mouth or when you hear it in somebody else. And the dictionary, I looked it up, and the dictionary is not even that helpful with defining it. There's the verb form of gossip, which is a rumor or a report of an intimate nature. And then there's the noun form of gossip, which is the person who gives reports or rumors of an intimate nature. Okay. I want it to be as obvious as a log. Anyways, honestly, this is what I do. I have 3 questions I ask myself when I'm sensing that I'm at that moment when in a conversation with someone. I say to myself, will this statement I'm going to make, will that statement help or hurt the person about whom I'm speaking? Now, some of you may really, really enjoy talking about others when they're not around, and so you may have a messed up understanding, and you may think that what you are saying may actually be helping them, when in fact, you're just adding fuel to the fire. So another question I ask is, if this person was in the room, would I say what I'm about to say? Or I ask, would I want someone saying these things about me? Okay? Now, let's just take a moment and think about the miracle of words. You ever thought about this? There are all kinds of mammals and animals in this world, but humans are the only ones with words, right? Yeah, cats meow and dogs go woof. But you and I, we can more than grunt and growl. It's true. The words that we have been given, it's really a gift that we have. Words. You ever wonder if cats could gossip, or if they do? I don't think that they do. Anyways, your words matter. Everything in your life matters. For the Christian, the person who wants to be like Jesus, there's not an inch of your life that is off limits to the change that he brings. Let's go to another passage in Scripture, actually. This is going to be Romans chapter 6, verses 11 through 14. Romans 6, 11 through 14, and Paul's writing to this church in Rome, and he's wanting them to see all of their life as belonging to Christ. So let's read this, all right? In the same way, count yourselves dead to sin, but alive to God in Christ Jesus. Therefore, do not let sin reign in your mortal bodies, so that you obey its evil desires. Do not offer the parts of your body to sin as instruments of wickedness, but rather offer yourselves to God as those who have been brought from death to life, and offer the parts of your body to him as instruments of righteousness. For sin shall not be your master, because you are not under law, but under grace. Wow. There's so much here. And Paul starts with the bold command to look at your life and recognize that there are 2 ways of living. You can let sin be your master, or you can let Jesus be your master. You can say, I'm dead to sin, or you can say, I'm dead to Jesus. If you want to be dead to sin, then give your life to Jesus. View your entire life, even your body, as something to be used by him to show his love. Paul says to see every part of your body as an instrument. The other way you can translate the word instrument is you could say tool or weapon, right? But I'm going to stick with instrument right here, because what if you did this? What if I did this? What if you really attempted to let your life be an instrument of goodness, a trumpet of grace, a drum set for forgiveness, a guitar for love, or a kazoo for encouragement? The opposite is possible too, though. If you want to be dead to Jesus, then give your life to sin. Let your life be an instrument of wickedness, a trumpet of judgment, a drum set of bitterness, a guitar for hate, a kazoo for gossip. Paul says, though, that you've been brought from death to life. It's true. If you've given your heart to Jesus, if you have said, I'm yours to him, he does this awesome thing, this awesome work in you. He brings life where there was death. He brings peace where there was anxiety. He brings grace where there was guilt. That means your life is new in him. And you don't need to offer your body parts to death, to the old way of doing things. As a matter of fact, Paul says in another letter, he says, don't let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that it may benefit those who listen. See, gossip is using your words to tear people down rather than build up. Gossip is using your lips as instruments of wickedness rather than instruments of righteousness. Gossip is adding fuel to the fire of bitterness in somebody's heart rather than helping them find peace. So let's go back to summer. This is that moment when summer can jump right into the complaining and gossiping mess that autumn is in. And what they don't know is that their boss is right around the corner, getting ready to come into the break room. So what does summer do? She doesn't give in. She resists the temptation to continue the gossip cycle. She stops the snowball effect of sin, and she goes, oh, no. In her head. She doesn't go, oh, no, out loud. But she doesn't jump into the cycle of gossip. She even resists the temptation to tell a story that she had heard from one of her other workers about their boss, right? He's 36 and he still watches SpongeBob SquarePants and has been heard speaking in Patrick's voice to some of the workers. She knows this story and it's like ready to come out. Instead, Summer remembers her devotions that she had the other day that talked about offering your body as instruments of righteousness. She wanted her lips to be something that played God's tune, not the negative tunes of the world, right? So she says, yeah, that sounds tough, but I think Mr. Muffnapple can be pretty funny sometimes and might be having a hard time today. And then she changes the subject and she says, do you want to see the cool cards I got for my birthday? And wouldn't you know, as she changes the subject, Mr. Muffnapple walks into the break room. Oh. Dum dum dum. Anyways, so what about us? How can we stop the battle against gossip? Number 1, ask God for help. Start there with every problem that you've got. I guarantee that you struggle with gossip in some form or fashion, so ask God for help. Number 2, recognize why people gossip, including you, why people like you and me struggle with gossip. And here's why people. They do it to feel better about themselves. People gossip to feel included in the conversation. People gossip, sometimes they spread rumors to get back at people they don't like. Ultimately, people gossip because they're weak. Gossip is not something that a strong person needs to do. All right? Number 3, choose to use your words to build up and not tear down. Make that decision in your mind every morning. Every time you go into the lunchroom, make that decision. Every time you go to the sports field, choose to use your words to build up and not tear down. All right? Number 4, regularly redirect conversations. Today, even after you watch this, you're going to have an opportunity to gossip. I guarantee it. So if someone comes to you with this about somebody, this major complaint, or this just about somebody, you choose, okay, to redirect the conversation. You may want to come up with pre-planned responses. I don't know what they would be, but one thing that I always try to do is if someone's talking to me negatively about somebody else, I usually try to come up with something positive to say about that person that they're talking about, or something to say that will help the other person understand the person they're complaining about. Come up with a pre-planned response to help you redirect conversation. And number 5, apologize when you have gossiped. If you're with someone and they're talking about Mr. Muffnopple or whatever, and then you join in the gossip, go back to that person and say, I'm sorry, I should not have said what I just said about Mr. Muffnopple or whoever it is you're talking about, and say, I want my lips, I want my life, I want everything I do to build people up and not tear them down. And when I spoke about Mr. Muffnopple or whoever it is, I was ignoring that. So I'm sorry. Apologize to them. So I hope that you come back next week to find out what happens in Summer's life. But in the meantime, may you always offer your lips as instruments of peace, as guitars of grace, as kazoos of encouragement. You're awesome. And remember that every moment is a moment when you can choose to follow Christ or walk away. And I hope every moment you choose to follow him. Bye-bye.